Hey everybody, I'm Angelia and welcome to my Booktube Newbie Tag video. I don't know who began these questions, but I thought it'd be a good place to start since I'm just getting my Booktube channel going, and you can get an idea of where I'm coming from and if you'd be interested in watching my videos. Alright, why did you start this channel? Well, I needed a new challenge. I love to talk about books and reading, and I have a little time on my hands, so I thought I would just put that out there in this format and see who would like to discuss books with me. I enjoy other Booktube channels, and so, it's pretty much the same reason for everybody else, I think. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to YouTube? I'm probably going to have to let you be the judge whether or not it's really unique. I feel like what I like to do is what a lot of other people like to do, so it's, there'll be the recommendations, reviews, TBR, what I read this month, maybe a haul. My idea of a haul is like when I buy more than two at a time, but I'll throw it out there. I'm going to do some ones that are more spoiler, where it's more of an in-depth discussion of a book or an author or a series. And fun and unique. I know I'm a barrel of fun. I don't know how unique it's going to be. It's probably going to be a lot like a lot of these other ones, but we'll see what happens. What are you most excited about this channel? I feel like that's kind of a repetitive question. I'm excited to talk about books, and that's why I'm starting the channel. Why do you love reading? I think this is the hardest question on here because I know that I do, and I know how I feel when I read. I don't really know why. I just can't imagine why it would be if I didn't read. It's so, it's so embedded. So I think that's a really hard question, but I'm going to have to think about that more. Why do I love it? It's all the things people say. It's the escapism. Sometimes I want to think more about something, and sometimes I want to fluff out and think less about something. It adds new layers to me. I love to reread as well, which is in the name of the channel. So I think that's a question I'm going to have to keep considering as I develop on here. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I feel like I'm sort of asking those questions even though they don't know it, because I have gone through a lot of them and looked at when they have a video that especially is about when they began and how they got started and some of the technicalities of it and the pros and the cons. So right now those are the kind of questions I would have. I always have questions in particular when I'm watching a video with their comments about a certain book. Sometimes I wish I could jump in live and just ask about that. What challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be hardest to overcome? That is very easy for me to answer, and it's the technical aspect. I'm a reader and a writer and a talker, and the technological aspect of it is kind of confusing to me. I'd spent time searching for editors in like the easiest editor, the beginning editor, the most basic editor, and I felt like every single one of them somehow started on page 4 of some invisible manual. I'm like, wait, no, back, you got to go further back to the beginning. And it's funny because I have I had a YouTube channel that had over 100 things on it in my work, but I didn't edit worth a flip. I had to make so many a week working in an elementary school library that I just cranked them out and threw them on, and I didn't it was just like, whew, here they come, because I had to put them in Google Classrooms and YouTube and take home things and others and morning announcements, and it was just so fast and furious I never could stop and do any kind of polishing. So trying to go through the steps of making it look and sound better. So these first ones might be pretty raw. I don't have down the lighting, I probably don't have down the sound, I definitely don't have down the editing, But one of the pieces of advice that I saw over and over again was like, just get started and then learn as you go. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, we got, when did you start reading? Okay, well, that was way, way back, like 4 or 5. And I know, the very early days, like my mom's a big reader and so is her mother. And so it kind of went down that way. But probably need to edit out some of these maybe. Probably won't. I do have a memory. I pulled this one up. I've been reading a long time, since I was little, but I very much remember the first time I chose at the bookstore a chapter book for myself and read it. And I still have it, and here it is. It was B is for Betsy. And according to the New York Times, it got a review in the New York Times. And it's about a girl who's starting first grade. And I was in first grade when I chose this book. And it says, this is a pleasing addition to the list of realistic stories for the 6 to 7-year-olds and one that will be useful for the beginners in reading. And indeed it was. And there's so many, sometimes I can't remember why I went from one room to the next, but I remember being in the bookstore at age 6, looking through a rack of paperback books and picking this out. And then going home and reading it, and it has got like the best vintage illustrations. And I have read it many times all my life, so I still love that book. Then, let's see, we've got a couple more questions. We've got, what kind of books do you like to read? All right, so it's pretty varied. I read in a number of genres. I read classics, I read contemporary fiction, I read some international titles, I read a little fantasy and science fiction. I do not read a lot of YA, but I will if it sounds good enough. I do not read romance, really. If romance happens to be in the book I'm reading, that's fine, but as a genre, it's not really what I gravitate to. If you love romance, that's awesome. I'm glad that there's so much diversity of what we can choose between. That's just not really my thing. I read a little bit of nonfiction, but I don't really read biographies or how-to. Well, I guess I read how-tos, so I read cookbooks, but like self-help and spiritual, I don't read that. So mainly contemporary and classic fiction, a little nonfiction, some science fiction, and some fantasy, and historical fiction, quite a bit of that. So let's see, what else? What does your book collection look like? Oh no, I left something out. Where do you read? Oh, well, back behind me you can see a little bit of my library. I like to read in there, and I also like to read in the bed. Those are my 2 favorite places. But I take books everywhere, so I read anywhere, but those are my 2 favorite places. And then what does your book collection look like? Well, you can kind of see some of it back there, but in the house that we have now, I have a library, so I have the fiction alphabetized by author, and then the nonfiction's kind of grouped by subjects, and and then there's kind of TBRs all over the place, and I read one at a time. That's my style. All right, I think that's the end of the newbie questions, so I'm going to wind up the video, but I'll be making some more content soon, so if you liked this video, please consider subscribing, and try out one of the other videos. Have a great day. Bye-bye.